welcome to Center Stage with Angelina and Remi. And in today's episode, Remi is going to discuss the effects of cell phones in today's society. So stay tuned.
Today, I would like to discuss the effects of cell phone use in our society. There are many issues that cell phone use brings up. I'm going to discuss one in particular today about what has happened to me and that Remi has actually witnessed with me. So it's a little more on the serious side today because I had a real experience that I'm going to share. When we were in Rome, it was about, we were trying to get into, we were going to the Venetian Vatican.
Yes, we were going to Vatican City.
Right. Vatican City, thank you. And I'm still messed up. What can I say? Anyway, so...
Yeah, we're still trying
yes,
to...
we're still recovering from this event. And I have to say, I think it was about the third day, it was the evening, and it had gotten dark, and we could not go in and see anything. We got in there too late. And we had gone, and I think we spoke about this in a previous episode, gone and gotten some gelato.
Yes, that's right.
Of course, it was good. I got more than she did. She's good. I'm bad. And but anyway, I actually had them in my hand to find a trash can, and the step on the sidewalk was unexpected, and so I stepped. It hit me sooner than I thought it would, and so I dropped everything. And so what happened was that I was discombobulated. We're in Rome. So that's enough of a discombobulation.
That'll do it.
That'll do it. And so I had hailed a taxi because we were a little confused about where we were. We've had experience with hailing taxis before in our New York trip, if you remember that. Anyway, so when I went to pick up what I dropped, I actually left my phone.
Because it fell probably with everything else, and so you didn't really, had it only been your phone, you would have heard that. But since it was the gelato, and I think you were holding something else too in your hand, and so you just...
And so when I dropped it, I don't litter, neither does Angelina. That's a...
Yes,
morally wrong thing to do.
I'm very
big one. We're both picky
about that.
So I was absolutely not going to leave that on the ground. I was trying to get all the spoons and the cups and everything. We get into the cab, and I didn't feel right. And this is an interesting thing about your mind. Your mind works in wonderful ways, and then sometimes doesn't kick in until it's too late. This kicked in immediately. Something wasn't right. We were in the back seat of the cab, and he first of all wouldn't take a card. So
he wouldn't let us in to begin with.
Oh, that's right.
Because we had food.
That's exactly right. I forgot about that. So that's another reason.
And he was very picky. He didn't want anyone eating in his cab.
Right. That's right. I forgot about that.
And there was not a trash can around. There was nothing. And I'm like, so I'm holding these. I'm like, so then what do you want us to do?
I know. I mean,
and so he handed us a trash bag that he had, a bag that he had there in his cab. And he said, put it in here. But you could not enter his cab while eating anything.
So I'm a little bit, and he also would not take anything but cash.
Right.
Well, that's weird. For us, it is. When we go places, we've always been able to pay with a card. So, but this is Europe, and they're a little bit different. So I don't want to sound critical. It's just the way they do things.
Right.
So that also was kind of a mind bender because I'm trying to think, okay, now what are we going to do here? So anyway, but I still didn't feel quite right. And your brain works in wonderful ways in that it will have information and it will attach itself there, but you may not realize what it is. But
and you didn't trust your intuition either, because you knew that there was something you felt unsettled about.
Yes. And I said, I don't feel right. And something's wrong. Well, we got driving down the road and it hit me. I had lost my cell phone. But this is where the fatal mistake was made. I should have said, turn around right now, go back to where we got in the cab. Because that phone would have been worth paying him off to go on. It was everything. So I didn't do that. So what has happened now, and we're going to talk more about grief later too, but it's almost as though since I've been back and the rest of that trip, it was almost like a grief. I have lost, my best everything. My memory, my phone numbers, my friends' numbers, their addresses, important information that only I need. So to say that knocked me for a loop is probably one of the biggest understatements I will ever make. And I will say I do suffer from attention deficit disorder. And what dropping that phone did was it knocked me into a tailspin. And I didn't really realize how serious it was until I got back home.
And you were trying to get into your regular schedule, and but I think you were just off.
That's right. And I think, just like the lady on the airplane that had an accident we talked about, things happen. And I don't mind sharing that part of myself because I want to help others who suffer from the same disorder. Now, it is clearly difficult to live with someone like me. And I mean that in all sincerity. And I do believe that Angelina has found it difficult to travel with someone with ADD. So that's hard enough. Then when the person that has ADD loses their mind, which my phone was, it was even worse. So it just took off. And since we've been back, I have read, learned, thought about all of those things, because I still don't have all the information back on my phone. So, and needless to say, in this society, your phone carries a lot of personal information.
Right.
This, I will tell you now, there are people who can figure out whatever you've done to not allow them into your phone. They can figure it out, and they will get that information.
They are very savvy. I mean, they are very intelligent. I mean, this... When it comes to, things such as that.
White-collar crime. And they're
capable of things that you just would not even fathom.
And you're looking at a woman here who is pushing 60. Hard to believe, I know. But, so I didn't grow up around computers. So what I have done and have learned, to me, seems great. I mean, really. I feel good about the fact that I can use my cell phone. I can print from it, I can text, I can send pictures, I can send letters, all of those things. So I that is my accomplishment. Now, next to her son, I am on the idiot scale, but that's okay.
Well, he thinks we are too.
I know, all kids do. But and that's understandable because in his entire life, there weren't no computers. They've always had them. And in schools. But anyway, back to the phone. So what I really decided to do, I had a long talk with myself, and I decided that a disorder is only useful if you share it to help someone else. And that is what I have decided to do. And I was diagnosed with really ADHD. The actual diagnosis came just within the last 15 years. But I have suffered with it all my life. Unfortunately, nobody knew what it was back when I was a child. And had they known, it would have been a different story. I will say that as a mental health worker, it can destroy somebody's life if they don't get a handle on it. And it certainly disrupted our trip. And I apologize to Angelina for that, because that was certainly, I had no idea how bad the effect was until I started looking back at it. Mm-hmm. But I had this preoccupation with the loss of my phone. I mean, constantly then. Mm-hmm. I had lost, well, it would be like losing, for someone else, it would be like losing a family heirloom or something that was close to you that you felt
that you relied on every day in and day out.
Right. Mm-hmm. So, that being the case, my ADD just went into overdrive. So, and on top of that, not everybody takes medication for ADD. I have done that in the past, but I was not on it then. That was another mistake. So 2 things we need to take from this experience. Number 1 is don't be ashamed. Mm-hmm. Do not be ashamed of the fact that you have a disorder like that. You didn't ask for it. And number 2 is that put it in perspective.
Mm-hmm. Very important.
It is. Had I sat down and tried to do my meditation like I do at night, and I've gotten in a good habit of it, and really meditated on it, I would have understood that it wasn't the end of the world. Mm-hmm. A friend of mine said one time, Sally, it sounds silly, but the end of the world is the only thing that is the end of the world.
Right.
It's not the end of your world.
Uh-huh.
And I'm still healthy, fortunate for the people in my life. I should have done that, but I couldn't go there and didn't realize the damage it was doing. So we want to be sure that we understand if we have a disorder, but right now I am talking specifically about ADHD or ADD. Do not be ashamed of the fact. You need to seek professional help with it because it is not something you can tackle on your own. But also, it is difficult for loved ones to live with. It is. People that love you will get past it. Some days. It's not always that easy. Angelina is one person I know of that, besides being extremely intelligent, she is also very capable of organizational skills. Of anything. Well, if it's something that someone with ADD is interested in, they can get that way. But ordinarily, it's difficult. If there are outside things going on, if there is anything distractible, it'll distract me. There was a little girl staring out the window, daydreaming while the teacher's talking. So, you need to, if you do know that you suffer from it, understand that your loved ones have a hard time with it also. So taking care of yourself is not only for yourself, it is to help those relationships. Also, there's a lot of shame that comes with it. And it is not something to be ashamed of. And that is why I'm talking about it today. So I will say to you, if you have questions, if you want information, please email me, go to our website, and I will be more than happy to answer your questions. I'm going to go into this further at a later date, but the one thing I am addressing today is the dependence on cell phones, and for someone that has a disorder like me, it truly kind of spun me out of control. So I just, not that I'm a crazy person. You might need to ask Angelina about that part. It would made her crazy. We were both crazy. But so it's just a good example of what could have been avoided if I had, told him to turn around. Do you know the grief, the time I have spent saying to myself, why didn't you have him turn around? I knew something.
But hindsight is always 20/20.
I do.
And I do that 20 times a day. Why didn't I this or that?
And it is. It's so true. But anyway, so I will talk more about that, but I really, really invite your questions because it is just the tip of the iceberg of things that can, in mental health, that can bring you shame, bring you grief, and bring that to your families also. And so, to wrap this up, I'm going to talk a lot more about cell phone abuse, or use and abuse, and what it's causing in the United States and all over the world. And we'll talk further. But I do welcome any questions. Do you have a question you'd like to ask me?
Well, the only thing that I can really think of right offhand is possibly, or in your episodes to come referring to this, are you going to get into like maybe techniques to where people aren't so paralyzed by, situations such as happen to you?
Absolutely. We will discuss that. Matter of fact, we're going to be doing this for a few shows. One of the things is that it doesn't matter whether you're disordered or not. The loss of a cell phone has become a major upheaval in people's lives. And there are disorders now showing up. And I will discuss that, but I will tell you.
I wonder if it's because at any given time, it's instant communication. And so you're constantly hearing the pings of, notifications, text, and, emails, and things such as that, social media. And so I think we feel like we have to immediately respond to things because they are just right there in front of us. And it's not... And as a society, we are nothing as we were, 20 years ago. And where, you returned a call when you got home at the end of a work day.
Well, let's see if there's three things I think I can address. First of all, you never can get away from it. It doesn't matter who you are. If your phone, even if you're smart enough not to answer it while you're driving, you hear those pings, and as soon as you get out of the car, you're going to be checking your phone to see what's on there.
Yes,
So that's one thing. It's almost like an appendage now. We can't have it somewhere else.
Right.
So, and then secondly, immediate gratification. We are no longer able to wait for anything. And in society, that's not a good thing because good things usually take time. Now, does that mean that you have to wait 3 weeks for a message? No. But good things take time. Things that really take our focus, our heart, and our thought, they are not usually rapid fire. So we kind of cut back on those and replace it with rapid fire answers. Those are not usually the best. You know how it is when you don't think before you open your mouth? Well, unfortunately, the phone enables us to, if we get angry, to let someone know immediately, even if
instead
they
of
are
thinking something through.
So there are many aspects of the communication being immediate that is not healthy. Now,
instant gratification.
Instant gratification. That is the biggest part. But what we've done is now we're raising children and family members to where that is what they've only known. So my loss of my phone, I remember not having one of those. And you didn't answer a phone until you got home. There was your phone. But just in the time I've had one, it's become my instant gratification.
Right. Mm-hmm.
There are different things and different ways people use them. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to go into that in the next episode. But this episode is really about how important they have become, mm-hmm. and how it almost destroyed a vacation for me. Mm-hmm. Because when I lost it, I truly grieved it. It was mm-hmm. awful. Mm-hmm. And
when you lost it, you lost it.
I did. That's right. Much to her dismay, who had become a constant caregiver because I was a wreck. So yeah, there are things. That's right. I should, but I really do want you to hear this. That my reaction would have been bad either way. But with attention deficit disorder, you understand mm-hmm. that information, you finally got it one place.
Right.
And that is so important to organize things.
Uh-huh.
And so with me, it wasn't just the loss of the information, it was my brain.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
Had been lost, and mm-hmm. it's still in the streets of Rome. We might be hearing about a national problem with that. I don't know.
Well, interestingly, I watched a short clip of an interview with Tom Selleck a few days ago, and why I say that this is interesting is because the interviewer had asked him, with being in the Hollywood and the fame that he has. And
she looks
right, yes,
gorgeous.
But she had asked him something about his use with electronics, with him being older, and everything.
Right.
And his response was that he believes that he may have only sent a single email in his lifetime. He said that in that moment, he could only remember one email that he had ever sent out, and he does not carry a cell phone with him.
I mean, really.
And that he, but I was just kind of like, wow.
I know.
In today's age, and especially, with kind of, him being who he is,
Yeah. But then again, also, for somebody like him, he's probably interrupted so much by people calling.
And plus he has people to do things for him
that's
too.
True. Yes,
I
don't have a staff.
His assistant, hey, can you find out about such and such? That's Google for him. Can you,
That's right.
That's him pulling up Google on his phone.
The Google thing. Yeah. And that's true. But I will say I admire that greatly. Mm-hmm. But the one thing I will say, and I will say this ahead of everything else, with our well, I won't just say our nation, really everywhere, there are dangers that did not exist when I was a little girl.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
There were not people going into schools, shooting people out in public,
mm-hmm.
bombing people. So, when there have been times I know when those phones have come into play and saved a lot of lives.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to
discredit that
that at all. Mm-hmm. It's just that just like everything else in life, mm-hmm. it needs to be put into perspective.
Mm-hmm. And moderation is the key, as in most everything in life.
It mm-hmm. is in everything in mm-hmm. life. So really, that's interesting about him. But you're right. Mm-hmm. Maybe I need to get rid of my phone and hire a staff.
Right. There you go. Get you an assistant. That's all you need, Remi.
That's all I need. But anyway, so next time we're going to talk about some more things. But this has been something that's been on my mind ever since I've returned, and constantly in my face. So I finally said, okay, just sit down. Let's look up some information and let's think about what we need to share to help mm-hmm. others. So don't lose your phone, because you do need it. But we'll talk more about that in our next episode.
Well, thank you for watching, and please remember to like and share and subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time.